I can
Yes,
sing if you want me
yes.
to. I'm in New York. Oh no, let's do the Jay-Z version. New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of.
That song just slaps every time you hear it.
It
Like,
does.
how can
It
you just not be in a good mood after hearing that song?
definitely.
That just reminded me I got to put my phone on do not disturb.
Oh, yes, that's a good
Let's see here.
idea.
Linda's in here. Mark Pizzo's in here.
Linda LaRue, good morning, friend.
Emmy's in here from across the border. So close yet so far.
Can we get Emmy on a cruise? I mean, what do we have to do? I said that we're going to go kidnap her
I
so
said,
that
well, officially, I'll be able to go kidnap her
nice.
here shortly. Let's see here. Josh Crothers, Janine, Edith, Brian Cardy says that's not Jason.
Dr. Cardi, good morning, sir.
Lenny's here. Good morning, everybody. We have a little bit of a change up. Jason had a last minute appointment that he could not reschedule that he forgot about. So here we are.
Looks like
Lenny or Emmy says her bags are packed.
an upgrade to Pope class, all right? From pool
Yes,
class
we
to Pope class.
did. Nobody wants pool class. Kathleen's in here. Jason's watching from his appointment. Brian's bringing a minivan. Cruise Life Rick for the win. I cannot confirm or deny. I plead the fifth.
Dan loves a free upgrade. I love it. It's not
Oh,
free,
hey,
Dan.
Dan.
It's not free.
No, I had to reach deep into the pockets to get this special appearance this morning. Really, really cut into my Q3 budget right at the beginning.
We have a big announcement related to the new sponsorship coming up. We have a big announcement, guys.
Is it so we can't tell them it's by Verizon?
No, it's definitely not. It's sponsored by Today in Travel. Come on.
Oh, I thought Verizon was going to start sponsoring Today in Travel.
Oh, that's a good idea. See if we
For a
can make
little
that
pitch that way.
happen.
And Tony, good morning. Mike Corretto, hello. He's live on the Celebrity Edge. Mike, are you broadcasting?
Is
Because you
this
didn't
Max?
comment in the group.
What happened to Max Amazing Summer? I mean, come on. What's going on, Mac?
We need to see this. So if you guys want to see the Celebrity Edge, make sure you guys give Mike a follow here. Now, remember, if you are watching on an alternate channel, we are live from HAPS and we are multicasting to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. I can't say Jason's Twitch account this morning. And we have a new co-host this morning, temporary, unless he does really well today. So that could change. So we're going to start with introductions. So good morning, everybody. My name is Haley. I am a travel blogger, and I've been working in the hotel industry for 14 years and own a hotel sales support company. And across the virtual aisle for me is the one, the only Ken Jarvis. Introduce yourself, sir.
I am so happy to be here. I'm Ken Jarvis from Today in Travel, KJ's Amazing Summer. I am a world traveler and supporter of the Today in Travel team. I'm also an admin of the Today in Travel Facebook group. So I'm so happy to be here filling the very big shoes of Jason Poole.
Very big and expensive shoes.
And yes.
I'm so glad we were able to snag you up as an admin. I mean, you're a hot commodity.
I was available as a free agent, and you guys made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I'm happy to be part of the Today in Travel family.
Awesome. Well, guys, we're going to get started. We have the same agenda as usual. There's only a couple topics because I believe we're going to be able to discuss a really, really interesting topic this morning with our co-host. All right, so let's hop right into it. So, Mr. Jarvis, air travel hit another all-time high this past weekend, and delays are on the rise. Have you experienced any of this yourself?
I certainly have. Not only have I had delays, I've had cancellations and rebookings too. When the pandemic hit, many airlines furloughed a lot of their crew because they just didn't have the planes in the air based upon the volume not being able to support it. Bringing those people back, especially when it comes to pilots, takes a lot of retraining. So when you throw in the huge ramp up in travel, even some airlines even mothballed some of their planes So they sent their planes to storage. So getting that all back online takes time. Look at the cruise industry, right? When Adventure of the Seas was announced it was going to restart, it took 3 months for them to get it back online. We're experiencing the same thing in the airline industry. So there are a lot of delays. And you know what? It's also summer, so the weather doesn't help. It is thunderstorm season. So throw that in. You better have alternative travel plans where, meaning, do as many direct flights as possible and only take a flight where there is another flight going to your city after it, so you have another chance to get to the destination that you're trying to get to.
Absolutely. That's where, if you have to connecting in a big hub is a huge advantage. And I think Jason and I have also recommended that, don't book those short turnarounds for connections right now.
Not at all. I mean, you've got to get 2 hour. It has to be a minimum 2 hour connection.
I know I won't lie, I'm a little nervous tonight. I've got an hour and a half. I think it will be okay, but
What city? What city are you connecting in?
it's in hot Atlanta. But I am same terminal though.
Okay, so you're
So
fine.
at
Look,
least from what
cross
I
your
can
fingers.
tell, it hasn't
Cross your fingers.
changed.
You're gonna make it.
But it's nerve wracking. Like, I had that same rough amount of time when I was in Detroit heading to Seattle in May, and I barely got there. I was the last person on that on that plane. They were about to close the door. I mean, just they're behind in ground crews, they're behind in pilots, they're behind in this, and even though the world is ramping back up, they can't ramp back up at that same pace. Like, I'm going to a convention today that has 6,000 plus attendees in Dallas. There's more people into the air. You're getting conventions back up and running. So be
Right.
patient and expect delays and
And
fly
plan
both class.
accordingly, right? Fly in a day before, fly early morning before the weather hits. There are some things you can do to not guarantee, but to make your experience better.
And don't fly pool class.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say
I'm
that,
just
right?
kidding.
Because you definitely want to fly on an airline that has code share alliance partners, so that if they're not able to go, they can get you on another flight. Just recently, when I was going down to Nassau to hop on the Adventure of the Seas, American Airlines flight had a mechanical problem and I would have missed my connection. They were able to put me on a JetBlue flight because of their code share agreement. So it just gives you more flexibility in order to get there.
I still need to frame that post. I never thought I'd see that in my life. that
Uh, Last row, JetBlue, no window. Okay.
I wish I could have seen your kid's face too.
Don't even go there.
Because Olivia's like the same way now that she gets her little first class upgrades. And then when we sit in economy, it's like
I loved Olivia on that Delta One flight to Paris. Okay.
she was living her best life. One other thing I'm going to talk about in airlines. So there's been a lot of noise around your favorite airline in the news in regards to delays. Why do you think that is? I'm not picking on them because I don't mind flying American. I don't.
No, they've done a horrible job, right? I'm top status at American. I have a million miler. They have done a horrible job because they were slow to respond to the volume coming back into air travel. They also went through and felt it was the time to modernize their fleet. So all those A330s that they had, they got rid of them immediately, right? And then they're replacing them with Dreamliners. But the Dreamliners pilots, they had not transitioned the Airbus pilots to become Boeing Dreamliner pilots. So that immediately put in problems. They also furloughed too many flight attendants. And with all of the government assistance that you have, some of the flight attendants said, I'm making more money staying home, getting enhanced unemployment, than coming back to do the job. So American has done a horrible job, especially from a crew planning perspective. You know where you don't have crews, cancel those flights before I'm at the gate. Cancel it 3 days in advance so I can make alternate plans. American has not done a good job here. So, we've got to, that's the one thing about today in travel, right? We're not like some other outlets that say everything is wonderful. We are going to tell you the truth. And everybody knows that's my beloved airline. They've done a horrible job with the restart and the volume, and they've got to do better. because there is competition out there. And I actually took a Delta flight last week, right? So, right, they're right for the taking.
Absolutely. And like I've never had a bad experience on American, I love Delta, but I think part of the thing with these, employees that are maybe staying on unemployment too, like the travel industry, hospitality, that is an emotionally difficult job. I mean, working in hotels, I can't tell you working at a front desk, I've been spit at, I've been screamed at, I've been assaulted because you're dealing with people and their basic needs in essence, like the sleep, the food, like it's a lot. And I mean, it's crazy. And plus, with American too, one of the things I noticed is their prices tended to be the cheapest this
Yes.
year. When I've been searching, I'm kind of like, I'm paying, a decent chunk more for Delta sometimes. So I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that pricing strategy because everybody ate up those cheap flights because they have some really great flight prices out right now. But
They really do.
oh my goodness. We're going to move on to a quick topic before our favorite topic today. So, I originally reported just over a month ago when I was in Paris that I did not have to pay for a COVID test to come home. Well, that is now not the case. You're going to pay anywhere from $25 to $30 per person to get your COVID test to come home. It's still just as easy as what I originally posted. I think we'll see more of this. But what are your thoughts on this, sir?
I think the airlines and the hotel industries and these countries are looking at their balance sheets and seeing how much they're spending on testing, and they've decided that they cannot continue to eat those costs, so they are going to put it on the backs of the consumers. When I think about Royal Caribbean, right, when we were on the first adventure sailing, they tested everybody free of charge. Now you have to get your own test and bring it to the port. So clearly it's a cost savings. Like, these companies have been beaten down through the pandemic from a revenue perspective. So they're just looking at ways that they can get back to their pre COVID revenue targets. And unfortunately, they're doing that on our backs. Now, the flip side of that is $30 is not horrible for a test, especially when it's mandatory to come home. So I understand why they're doing it. I probably don't like that they're doing it, but $30 isn't too bad. Now, in some cases, if it becomes triple digits, then we'll have some problems with it. But I can definitely understand. Many of those companies are fighting for their lives
Oh,
right
they absolutely are. I almost would be, and I've talked about this with another big resort recently. I'm just like, just include it in your fee and have the dedicated room.
now.
Like
Right.
work with the service, have the dedicated room because I would much prefer, like if I was in Paris versus like finding the pharmacy that could finally do mine. Even though there were a lot of locations, you had to find the ones that did the right test
Mhm.
for you to come home. I would prefer to even pay a bit, pinch more just to know that, what, on your fourth day of your stay, come down to the lobby, you're going to go into meeting room A and do your COVID test.
I believe they will make things easier for their customers when a lot of people start complaining, right? Because what you went through in Paris, having to go, the place that did the test now no longer does the test to find another one, that's ridiculous. They've got
That
to
was
make it easy.
exhausting.
They've got to make it easy. When you think about the Bahamar, although they took the club away, which I'm not happy about, that's now their medical center. So when you need a test, you go right there on campus and it's seamless. Even cruise ships, right? You go to one floor of the dining room and they'll test you there. So
That was so
they'll
seamless. And that was
they'll
like
get
that all inclusive that Jason and I stayed at in April. They had two rooms out of order in this one corner of the hotel. And they had little clinics set up in there, and you just went in, they swabbed you, and you were done.
nice. I mean, that's the way to do it. Make it easy for the consumer.
Completely agree. So, without further ado, did you know that the Allure of the Seas had a simulation sailing?
Really? I didn't know that. Oh, actually, I did. I may have been on it.
So, I think what we're all interested to see is it the typical Oasis class experience? What was your experience?
So let me give you the story, because I was on the Adventure of the Seas and I just happened to check my email and it said, "You're cordially invited to a simulated sailing." Now, simulated sailings are required for ships sailing out of the US in order for them to comply with all CDC guidelines. They have to do a test sailing to prove that they're able to do that. So I saw the email. I said, well, I can fit it into my schedule. Let me see what's going to happen. So I RSVP'd. I immediately got an email back saying, I'm on the ship. They will send me an invoice, book my travel. Knowing my beloved cruise company sometime has IT issues, I didn't book my travel until I saw the invoice. But I was invited to the test sailing, and I will tell you, let me frame it for everybody. Think about Oasis class, right? Double occupancy rate is probably close to 6,000. There were 657 people on. 400 of them were Pinnacle, which is our top status in the Crown and Anchor loyalty program, and 200 were travel professionals. So imagine being on an Oasis class ship with only 10% of the people there. I will tell you, it was a ghost ship. You barely saw anybody. I had a number of friends on that I didn't even bump into, but it was just an absolutely great experience to think about the last 18 to 20 months of no cruising, and then the cruising starting in the on the smaller ships out of the US to finally get an Oasis class ship leaving from a US port. It was fantastic. Now, there was no luggage service, but on a 2 day cruise, you wouldn't expect there to be luggage service. They didn't require any testing, but you had to be 100% vaccinated. Now, we did receive a letter saying that everyone who was on board, they were going to split us to simulate having non vaccinated people on board. Luckily, all of our Pinnacle cruisers all got wristbands indicating that you are vaccinated. So check in was really, really easy. Once you got on, your room was available. They gave all of us free balcony rooms. There were no Crown and Anchor amenities.
How was that for you?
So it was my first time in a balcony room in 80 cruises. And it was cozy, right? I was happy to be on. Um, uh, I honestly I couldn't figure out how to use the shower. I was like, what is this? What is this? But it was fantastic. To contrast, I was in the Royal Suite on Adventure of the Seas the week before, and
With
now
a
I'm in a
hot tub on the balcony.
so, but I'm telling you, it was great to be there. Look, there's always good and there's always bad, right? So it was great. The ship looked amazing. The crew was so happy to be back working. They had the same energy. And look, there were some things that weren't great. What I found could have been improved. I really felt like Royal Caribbean should have sent some of the leadership from Allure on adventure sailings so that you could replicate best practices. I immediately get on, I go to an outdoor bar. I go sit down to order my drink, and they say, Sir, you can't sit here. And I say, Oh, that's odd, because on adventure, there were signs everywhere that indicated that you couldn't sit there. They then said I needed to put on a mask, although I'm outdoors, which
Hmm.
contradicts with the policies on the web and the policies on Adventure, which has had 8 or 9 cruises already. They said when you approach the bar, you have to have a mask on. That wasn't indicated anywhere. That wasn't in writing, but that was the process they were following. So I just wish they had replicated some best practices on Adventure. We could just walk to the bar and order a drink, no problem, right? So
Yeah.
that was a little off. I will tell you that they gave us half off specialty restaurants and
Okay.
half off everything in Coco Cay. The 2 day cruise went to Coco Cay. So I did the barefoot beach club. I did the Coco Beach Club, and there were some of the people in the over the water cabanas. Now those cabanas are $1,800. I will never get one of them. I think that's ridiculous.
Oh,
But a
I think
couple
that's wild how much those
oh,
cost.
ridiculous. But they did indulge for 900. Now, onboard experience is very interesting because they have venues that are for vaccinated people only. And I will tell you, there's a velvet rope in front of them and a crew member checking your wristband. I was going into the pub to go buy some water, and I had my hand in my pocket, and I felt like the guy was going to jump on me because he could not see my wristband. So I would tell you, if you're not vaccinated, you've really got to think twice about going on one of the Oasis class ships because there are a number of venues you will not be allowed in. Also, from a show perspective, one show was for vaccinated guests only, the other show was for everybody. So they're really trying to segregate who's vaccinated and who's not. Now, if I read the CDC guidelines, it says that 95% of the people on board have to be vaccinated. So the non vaccinated will be a very small number of people. However, you will not have the same experience as the vaccinated people. So think twice if you're not
Brian
vaccinated about
Brian
going on.
Carty was wondering, could it be the difference between cruising out of Florida versus Nassau?
Yeah, so it could be, right? And again, we just don't know because Royal doesn't really do a great job of saying we're doing this because of local rules and ordinances, or we're just doing it because we didn't share best practices. But it's a great point, Dr. Carty. And we are trying to follow the CDC guidelines for cruising out of the US. So it's going to be interesting. We did have to wear masks on board in all indoor situations unless we were drinking or eating. So that was something that was different from Nassau. And overall, look, it was a fantastic experience. It's always nice to get a free cruise. It's always nice to be on a beautiful Oasis class ship. And I'm just happy that cruising is back. But overall, I give it a big 10. They did a great job on the Allure of the Seas.
So wearing your
I'm sorry,
masks inside.
Allure, Allure,
Oh.
Allure.
So wearing your mask inside, did you feel that inhibited your trip in comparison to adventure, or was it just a slight annoyance?
It was a slight annoyance. They had the air conditioning cranked up, so the mask didn't really bother me as much. Getting on and off the ship in the gangways that were extremely hot, the mask was like, oh my god, it was awful. But it's just a nature of the beast, right? We are still in a pandemic. When you look at the number of cases for the Delta variant, we are still in a pandemic. So being in a pandemic and being able to cruise, I'll wear a mask, no problem.
Exactly. I'm kind of sweating at having to wear a mask at convention in Dallas. It's so hot. They better be cranking that AC.
Wait, do they wear masks in Dallas?
Well, I do.
Okay, fair enough.
Although they are requiring, though, they did just send out a memo a few days ago at convention that they're requiring everybody to wear masks at the convention,
Oh wow, okay,
especially on
that's
the
good.
trade show floor, walking back and forth. I don't mind if it lets me do what I like doing. I can deal with a slight annoyance.
Completely agree.
Brian stands with you on the masks. Were they doing Mamma Mia?
They were not.
They were not. So is that something you think they're going to?
They will definitely be doing all of the shows that were up. They just didn't have it ready for the 2 day, but I
Okay.
believe next week is the first revenue sailing for Allure, and then I know Oasis simulation cruise is the 22nd of August, and then September 5th is going to be their first cruise. It'd be interesting to see what they do with the Harmony because Harmony's in Europe right now. I wonder if they're going to do that transatlantic that's scheduled. That would be really fun to get on in October, but we have to wait and see whether or not they're going to do that. But Oasis
Oh,
Cruising
I
is back.
know.
We're back.
I would love to get on that Oasis simulation sailing. So being on Allure after being on Oasis was your last one with its big, huge refurb. Are there things that you miss that they've done away with, or are there things that you definitely think Allure needs now that they've upgraded?
So I don't want to channel the normal host of this show and talk about the slides and how horrible the slides are. They put the slides on, they're not for us, right? They're for younger people, encouraging families to come on. So I didn't think not having the slides was an issue. What was interesting was I'm a huge Playmakers fan. And for those of you that know the Oasis class ship, Playmakers replaced Sabor. Sabor is still on Allure, and I had an absolutely fabulous meal at Sabor. So I was happy that Sabor was there. Love Playmakers. I don't want to say anything sacrilegious, but why don't we get rid of Johnny Rockets and put Playmakers over where Johnny Rockets is and have Sabor and Johnny Rockets? That would be fantastic. But I didn't miss anything. I know people, I like the champagne bar. The Bionic bar is not for us, but I've seen hundreds of people enjoying the Bionic bar. So I understand the direction Royal's going in. I think Allure is just a fantastic ship, and you should try to sail on her if you haven't done it, because you don't have the slides and you still have the champagne bar. Channeling Jason Poole right now.
You know, I so what's funny is I had Sabor for the first time a couple years ago on Oasis right before it renovated, and I didn't like it. And then I had it again on Allure with Jason, and it wasn't great. So like I've never been a Sabor fan, so I've never had a great experience at Sabor. But you're right with Playmakers. I love that. I can deal with the added water slides. I just hate the ultimate abyss. I call it the
The try
tramp
slide.
stamp, the tramp stamp right on the back of the ship. I cannot stand that slide on the boardwalk. I just, oh, it makes me twitch a little bit. And I do like the champagne bar, but I get, like you said, I get where they're going. I get what they're doing. If you're looking for that experience, there's other ships for you.
Definitely.
Channeling that other
Jason
person.
Poole, channeling Jason Poole again.
So next slide is the country list update. There's no real updates here. This is also in the Today in Travel show if you're looking for what the testing requirements are to go to these places from the United States. So, question of the day, sir, for you and I to debate here. Are you looking for better deals or better experiences? I saw a news article saying that, Americans, that have a little bit more means are paying with vouchers lately on their travel adventures. I will say that personally, I have taken a lot of the points and accruals and vouchers that I earned from 2020 being a bust, and I'm channeling that towards a slightly better experience that I normally book. Like I am booked on a true suite, like a true suite that I'm paying for at the end of this month on the Celebrity Summit. Just wanting to do something a little bit nicer. How are you feeling?
So I think they're one and the same, right? Because I'm looking for great experiences, but I'm also looking for deals, and that's what a lot of people forget. I want a reasonable price on great experiences. When you think back to the last 18, 2 years of the pandemic, we it's time to break out, right? And when you break out, you want to do great things. So maybe we're just not going to go to Disney anymore. Maybe we're going to go to Disney Paris, right? Maybe we're going to step it up a notch. I always say there are levels to this. So there's probably a higher level. So I think it's one and the same. After the hell we've been through, we definitely want some really, really good experiences. And it doesn't hurt, especially with some of your travel tips that you give, get a good deal also.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I noticed, and I think I might even be cruising a pinch less
Mhm.
than I was prior because I'm wanting to spend my money on newer experiences that I haven't done. Don't get me wrong, can I get down with a 7 night Western, Eastern Caribbean, with a big group of friends? Absolutely. But I'm definitely wanting to channel, like what I spend and what I do on new experiences, trying new ships, new lines, new destinations, going forward. Oh, Jason's still here. Hello, sir. Janine says deals usually make our travel decisions, but we'll look for a little value added in those deals. And that's the tip that Jason and I talked about last night is that cheapest price does not always mean best value.
Absolutely.
So, out of curiosity, I want to ask you a question on this. You said that you're looking for great experiences at a reasonable rate.
Yes.
What is considered a reasonable rate for, say, a loft suite on a 7 night sailing in your eyes?
So
Because
you
I mean,
got to
I've looked at those before and I'm like,
so it's funny because in the old system, so pre-pandemic, the pricing now is outrageous and it's got to come down because it's not sustainable at the prices that there are now. But when you think about cruising, you've got to think about supply and demand. And the day there's the biggest supply is going to be the cheapest cost. So the day a sailing opens up is always the cheapest costs. So what's funny is that as you relate to the suites, especially the loft suites, I have had friends where I always book the first day as much as possible for the cheapest rate. I have had friends in junior suites that paid more than I have because they did it, closer to the cruise. So
Wow.
the sweet cruisers, the real sweet cruisers, are also the value hunters, like Cruise Life Rick and myself. We are always looking for value. So I've been lucky enough to get a Crown Loft suite for $6,000 for a
That's
week
mind
for
blowing.
two people.
But
And then I laugh because closer into the cruise they have junior suites going for 8,000, and here I am in a real suite at 6,000. And if you're a member of the program and have hit certain thresholds, you're able to get 150% if you're traveling single. So that brings the price down even more. So you got to be out there hunting for deals.
loyalty
If you
pays.
travel, really is a place to stay tuned because they give you all of the good travel life hacks.
Thank you. I mean, loyalty pays. It
It's
doesn't.
funny. I see Rick commenting in the chat there. I will tell you also, sometimes we benefit from cruise line errors where they don't have the pricing right on the first day, and you can get an owner's suite for $2,000 or the royal suite for $3,600. So stay tuned next year, you'll see that cruise. But that
That
royal
is
suite was
mind
3,600 bucks.
blowing. Oh my goodness. Some people are here calling you out.
They are.
Oh
See,
my goodness.
he has reasonable rates. Yeah, you got to shop around and book early.
Oh, I'm one of those people, especially in hotel world. I'll hold quickly. In hotel world, it's a little different. I check consistently. So if you're ever looking for a hotel deal, I book it first. I check 30 days out. I check 2 weeks out and then a week of. And depending on what the cancellation is, I'll even sprinkle in before because a lot of these hotel systems, they have a computer program. Hilton's is called Grow, where if the computer notices an uptick on a certain day, it will automatically push the hotel's rate for them instead of the GM doing it manually. And if it noticed that something is kind of stale and holding off, it will dip based on the commands that the hotel has given it. So if this particular weekend is not shaping up and the occupancy's been sitting flat, they'll drop the rate right at the end. And as long as you book a refundable rate, you can cancel and rebook.
That's a great life hack.
Life
Great life.
hack.
It's a life hack.
Speaking of hacks, I know you'll appreciate this one. Take advantage of member only discounts. I sign up for every single hotel and airline reward program. I'm not gonna lie,
You
because
should.
they're free, and we all have that one email where they go. So it's not in my not in my main email because so many hotels, especially, are doing member only discounts, and it doesn't cost you money to join, and that's just instant savings. And sometimes they're layering it on top of a member discount. If you're staying for 4 or 5 plus nights, they'll throw an extra discount on top of that. So it's a member's length of stay discount. How many reward programs are you a part of, sir?
All of them. Bonvoy, Hyatt, Hilton. Well, not all of them, right? There are some brands that I would not support. I won't mention any names here because I know I just won't mention any names, but all of the big ones, because you get so many benefits by just being a member. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I stayed at a Hilton, but when I was going on Liberty out of Galveston and needed to book a room, they had a 2 night minimum. Unless you were a member, then you could book the one night. So it paid dividends already just for nothing.
Dan, he's a Choice Hotels connoisseur.
I'm not going there.
See, having supported, I won't lie, I've seen like the Choice Cambria line, that boutique style. Some of those new hotels, those are beautiful.
They are nice.
But I mean, if you work in the hotel industry, we would always joke about supporting some of those typical choice hotels and be like, hashtag wrong choice.
Oh, I love it.
Hashtag bad choice. Like we just we can make
That's
those
great.
jokes. But guys, sign up for them. It does not hurt. And a little behind the scenes. So I don't even know if I told you about this. The Points guy
Mm.
just released an app where you can store all of your airline points, your hotel points. So in one app, you can get a quick little look at all of your points so you kind of know what to spend when you start shopping. I like it. And there's
I love
actually an award hacker style search for airfare in this app now, too, that they have in beta. So, a little trick for you guys. Love this one. So, we have one more slide today, and it's our question of the day. And it's from Miss Kathleen.
Kathleen.
How is the surge in COVID cases due to the Delta variant affecting travel, including those vaccinated? I will say on the travel industry side of things in my world, we're not seeing a trickle down in demand. Now, granted, I don't have a Florida property yet. One is coming down the pipeline. Um, but there's really no decrease in the demand right now. But from what I can see in Florida personally as a consumer, I was planning to go to Disney for a weekend in September. I'm kind of pushing that back because I know it's still hot at Disney World in September and I don't want to be wearing a mask. Plus, waiting in those lines in a mask when it's hot with no fast pass. I'm making alternative choices. If I had a choice to not go to this convention, if they moved it, I'd be probably a little happier. I don't really want to travel to Texas right now. It's kind of a work thing where I have to, but based on the type of consumer I am, and I know a lot of the people that read my blog, they're kind of making those decisions and moving trips if they're technically going to hotspots. What are your thoughts, sir?
I think you really got to dig into the numbers for the location that you're going to, because a lot of times we're talking about percentage increases, but the number of cases are still very small. I know I was looking at Greece because I have some friends going on a cruise to Greece, and the percentages are exploding. Greece only had 1,600 new cases yesterday. There's 11 million people in Greece. So when you look at the numbers, it's not really bad, but it's a personal decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're personally making a decision not to go to Disney. Other people are making the decision to go. I think you got to protect yourself and you got to get tested, right? Get tested. It doesn't make sense to travel, get there, realize you're infected, and now you're stuck, right? So you've got to get tested. And look, politics aside, you got to get vaccinated, right? Clearly, the travel industry is really starting to segregate those who are not vaccinated. If you want to be in all of the events, you've got to be vaccinated. So really
I
think
think
about
it's also making those decisions, like, at the end of the month, flying to St. Martin. I don't plan on going outside the house too much a week or so before my trip.
it. Right.
Plan on kind of keeping it closed in. I did the same thing before I went on adventure. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to be going out to the bars or going to the mall
Right.
recently. You just got to make those decisions. It's all personal preference and get
Life's about
vaccinated.
choices, right? Life is about choices. What rule
It
is
sure is. So, if you guys want to be the featured question of the day, please join our travel group today in travel.live. And if you know people that would love to be in this group, make sure you invite them. You can search Today in Travel on Facebook as well. You can be the featured question. You can share your travel favorites. You can ask travel questions. It is a collaborative group of wonderful people that have all sorts of different kinds of trips planned. And you can also broadcast with the Today in Travel hashtag as well. Sir, any closing remarks before we end this broadcast?
Thank you very much, Haley. So happy to fill in for Jason Poole. Um, and just remember, you got to stay tuned, right? Stay tuned to Today in Travel, the exclusive home of KJ's Amazing Summer. We have some amazing trips coming up exclusively on Today in Travel. So make sure you follow me on Haps, Ken Jarvis.
All
Thanks.
right, guys. And you can end these things, sir.
You know how we end these things. RK Sister.